we're excited to talk to everybody about today is what integrated marketing is, what it can do for you, and why it's important. And because we are a small business, as I'll describe later, we really want to talk to you about how to market your company in the government contracting space effectively without wasting time and money. If you've ever worked with Trident before, we have a similar vibe for all of our proposal support, right? We have our fast process, which is all about submitting proposals or building and submitting proposals without wasting time and money. And we figured out some of the same kind of tips on the integrated marketing side. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And really this webinar is for small government contracting businesses who want to increase their engagement with their government clients and industry partners, drive more and better networking leads, and build, refine, and define your online identity. So if that describes you, you're in the right place, and we're really excited to talk to you. Or have you watch this recording if you're doing it later, because it turns out maybe your schedule isn't compatible with a Hawaii and Guam timeline, which we understand. So things that we're talking about specifically today, I want to give you a little introduction as to who Trident is, who I am, who Morgan, my lovely co-presenter, is, and then talk to you about integrated marketing communications, what it is, why it matters, especially for government contractors. There's 3 secrets of IMC that we want to give you, and then we want to talk a little bit about how we could help unleash your full potential when it comes to your online presence and your digital marketing. So, rolling right into it with the introductions. And just as a housekeeping thing, as we're going along, we are monitoring chat. So if there's something that we start talking about and we're going too fast, or you don't understand, or if you have a question, pop it in the chat. We might answer it on the spot, or we might hold till a different spot in presentation, but you're welcome to use that because we know we took away your microphone privileges. So if you want to interact with us, you absolutely can. That's one of the great things about working with a small business is you get very personalized service. So feel free to ask us anything and participate as we go along. So a little bit about Trident, who we are. We are a small business, as I mentioned. We're actually a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business, and we're headquartered in Southern California, but I always put a little asterisk with that because we are a geographically dispersed team. We have a lot of military spouses on the team, we have a lot of military veterans, and just by the nature of being in those 2 demographics, we are located worldwide. And it's really great for our clients, though, because what that means is that they can get 24/7, 365 support. So it doesn't matter if something comes in at 5 p.m. Eastern and we're not all logged off for the day. You can usually call or text or email and get somebody if you need that just-in-time support. That's something we're really great at. As I mentioned, we do have these military roots with this global reach, and we provide, our core business is to provide comprehensive business development services with a focus on federal contracting. So a lot of what we do is proposal management and proposal related, but we also provide capture management support. We provide training for teams. We do executive coaching, we do oral presentation coaching, and we also do integrated marketing services. So it's all under the umbrella of the government contracting sort of ecosystem. Has that vibe. So our core focus, as I mentioned, is to help government contractors identify, position for, and win the government contracts with a professional staff that provides quality service. We're really, really proud of our staff and the smart people we've been able to hire and bring onto the team. So if you ever head over to Trident's website, you can actually see a little synopsis about everybody who's on our team, what their favorite karaoke song is, where they went to school, what their a little bit of their personality. And we really love to highlight our experts. We are united under our core values, which are military level professionalism, teamwork, client-centric excellence. Excellism is not a word, so we don't do that. Owning the outcome and thriving. And so if you ever do work with our team, these are the kind of qualities that we put at the forefront and what you can expect from us just in terms of the level of service and the type of engagement that you're going to have. And as I mentioned, we are committed to hiring military veterans and spouses so that we can provide flexible and portable job opportunities for drilling reservists, veterans, or spouses of active duty military all over the world. So we are members of AFCEA. I mentioned we're a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business, and you can see we have a couple little industry recognitions for our ability to hire and retain both veterans and mil spouses, and that's something that we're really proud of. Your presenters today, myself, Rebecca Wayland, I'm the Chief of Staff at Trident. I've been with Trident for 11 years. Before that, I was in the Navy. I'm married to an active duty Navy guy, but in my role at Trident, I'm also a senior proposal and capture manager. So if you've ever worked with us on any of our larger campaigns for the multiple award IDIQs or the government-wide acquisition contracts, you probably interacted with me in some format. So if that's you, nice to see you again. But I also like to dabble in the marketing side of things and learn as much as I can from Morgan Over, who is our digital marketing manager at Trident. So I'll turn it over to Morgan to introduce herself and tell you a little bit about who she is.
Hi, thanks for that great introduction, Rebecca. As Rebecca said, my name is Morgan Over. I am the digital marketing manager here at Trident. So in addition to handling marketing for Trident, I also work with our clients directly for proposal graphics and oral presentation deck development. So kind of doing a lot more of the creative side of the proposal work, which we all know is not robust most of the time because the government likes a lot of words. But it's a lot of fun to take solutions and put those into graphics that help convey what you're trying to say to the government. So outside of that, I have a master's of science in integrated marketing communications, which we'll talk a little bit more about, specifically IMC later on. I am a former Navy public affairs specialist. I did that for a very long time before I came over to Trident about 3.5 years ago. And I'm a current military spouse living on the beautiful island of Guam. So that's a little bit about me. So we're going to jump into a poll. Next slide, please. And the question is, who handles marketing at your company? So this should pop up here for just a minute. I know for a lot of small businesses, what we've encountered is it's typically like a collateral responsibility, or it's kind of share, a collateral responsibility, or it's just one person. So we see some of the results coming in now. So dedicated team. Someone said just me. We feel you. We understand. So we know that that it ends up being often on just one person. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and we'll move forward. Great impact or great information. Thank you so much. So we'll go to the next slide. Thanks, Rebecca. So our marketing efforts at Trident really stemmed from necessity, right? And so being an SDV OSB, we started with just making small improvements on the website. This happened before I came on, and then as I took over marketing roles here at the company, we started tracking website visits, analyzing what people were looking for, and how exactly they were engaging with Trident. And it was as we were pulling some of this back to look at the metrics that we realized we didn't really have them. We weren't tracking our website views. We weren't seeing what people were clicking on, why people weren't clicking, trying to understand that. So we slowly improved this process to implement metrics to be able to track that. So I came on, like I said, 3.5 years ago, I came on as a tech editor. I was living in South Korea. And so they said, well, but you have a degree in integrated marketing communication, so can you help with this? And I was like, let's do it. Let's see what happens. And so it's awesome because between myself and others on the team, we were able to use the talent that we had to start tracking all of this. And what we found is that we had an outdated website. We didn't update it regularly. It wasn't a information source. It really was just more of a referral, taking our clients to it to say, these are the services we offer. We had limited ability to be able to track and analyze those website analytics that I discussed. And we weren't really in a position to as Trident to be an expert within the GovCon community, despite our experts on staff. So we had amazing team members. Rebecca, huge shout out, has run so many campaigns for Trident, giving her expertise, but having that platform where people could refer back to that. So what we did is we launched a new website. We completely overhauled what we had and said, okay, we're going to provide information that people need. This is going to be a referral source. And we'll talk more about this later when we get into the AI portion. We started launching high quality blogs that were specific to our audience. It wasn't just focused on an RFP or a campaign. It was also focused on things that we thought the government contracting industry should know about, how to submit an RFP, things that you need to know about color team proposals, information about one pagers. Like, do you have a one pager at your company? So things that were relevant to the industry, but then also recaps from industry events that we attend. And then we beefed up our webinars, kind of the same thing. We went from having webinars where we talked about the RFPs that were taking place or that were live to talking about industry relevant information. For those on the call who joined us last month, where we had a representative from Apex Accelerator join us, we've had lawyers join us and others. And so it becomes an opportunity where we are able to give back to the GovCon community. And that's one of the things I actually love about our webinars is that giving back. And so all of this culminated into being able to track stuff. So what we found is we were able to increase our website views 113% just by tracking them and driving people to our website organically. So when I say organically, I mean, we didn't run ads. We just started talking about ourselves more with the ability to track that. And then we doubled our website users. People were coming to our site to learn more, to download, to find more information, to read our blogs. Our blogs are a massive vehicle for people to come in to learn just about government contracting. And it's one of the things we take great pride in. So we do that through this enhanced credibility by being a referral source with our blogs and our high demand webinars. So I think, did I cover everything, Rebecca? I know it was a lot that we did, like within the first year on the team.
Yeah, and I mean, your point about, I think that when we started thinking about our website as a way to generate new leads and position ourselves as experts, that's when we really started getting traction. And it probably sounds like, well, doesn't everybody know that? And the fact may be that, a lot of people have websites because you're like, well, I'm a company and I need a website so that I look legit when somebody comes to check me out. And that's an element of it. But I would say we weren't using our LinkedIn profile in a very high impact way. We weren't using our blogs in a high impact way until we started thinking about the bigger picture of, hey, this is a tool to get people to know us and understand what we do, and also give them some of that information so that when they hear Trident, they immediately think like, yep, it's those military veterans, military spouses that have people everywhere. And every time I call, I get a great experience. So once we made that mindset shift, we really started seeing a lot of great traffic and a lot better leads in terms of our clients, because we still are largely referral, right? We work with somebody, they want to come back, they tell a friend about us, but the website has also been this new avenue to find new clients. So it's really worked well for us. Yeah, so I think you did a great job covering that. So this is the portion that y'all came for in terms of integrated marketing communications, because we're going to explain exactly what this is and why it matters. And I have asked Morgan to define this for me probably no less than 27 times since we've been on this journey. So she's going to present the majority of this, but there is one key concept that I do feel qualified to talk to you about, and that is that it's really important to understand, and you probably already know this on some level, but in the government contracting space, inconsistencies are damaging your brand. And I want to talk a little bit more about that, because traditional government contracting doesn't inspire thoughts of, flexibility and freedom, right? When you hear about government contracting, you might be thinking a lot of red tape and complex requirements and long wait times. And while there's some acquisition reform that's going on to address a lot of that culture, the thing that's never going to change about the mission of government contracting is what's at stake, right? It's always going to be supporting our nation's agencies, supporting our nation's warfighters, making sure that the country can function. And so when the client, who's the government, is looking to hire companies to do the business, they take it very seriously. And so when they're looking at your company, if you have things that are inconsistent or inaccurate or out of date, the mindset becomes they didn't pay attention to this. They are not detail oriented. What else are they going to be careless about? And it becomes this risk to your image. And so, just acknowledging that acknowledging that over time, platforms and mediums change, right? Websites migrate, communication platforms fall in and out of favor. Twitter is now X, and, used to be a lot of businesses were advertising on Facebook, and now not so much. Now everybody's on LinkedIn, and now Substack is a, rising source. So just understanding the way that all of these things fit together is really important, but also understanding that you have to show up the same way on each of these platforms so that there's no errors or questions about who you are and what you do, and if that's the right company that I was trying to research, is super important, because it's the very first time you can establish trust and credibility with your customers. So just said another way, a discrepancy in information could be interpreted as an error, and it inspires the thought of, well, if you didn't care enough to make sure that your address was up to date or consistent, or that your telephone number worked, or that your website didn't have any dead links, I'm about to trust you with classified information or matters of national security, or, solving problems on a national scale. Are you up to that if you didn't take care of the little details? So that's just how we want to kind of put you in the mindset, as we go through this and talk about integrated marketing.
So I get asked this question a lot, as Rebecca said, on the team of what is integrated marketing communications? And I'll go ahead and let you bring the next element up. I like it. I like the spoke. So for those who are attending, integrated marketing communication is a variety of communication disciplines that include all of the elements that you see here: marketing, public relations, branding, advertising, social media, direct selling, and there are more. But the primary goal of integrated marketing communications is to, provide clarity, consistency, and maximum communications impact. So what does this look like, right? So when people think of marketing, and currently right now in the midst of a government shutdown, marketing and public relations tend to be the first things that go, which, as a background as a communicator, is always interesting to me, because those are the things that you need. You need people talking about you in the midst of a crisis or whatever the situation might be. And so the whole point of integrated marketing communications is it all works together. It's all harmonious. And so when you have this conversation with your leadership team or your CEO of your company or anybody else on your team, integrated marketing communication goes beyond marketing as a whole. Because I feel like a lot of times people think of marketing, they think of advertisement, or they think of social media, or they think of those elements that they don't necessarily need, but then they forget about all the other pieces that it really comes into this communication marketing background. Within the industry, we're seeing trends of the MarCom, marketing communications director positions, that really actually blend all of these, because again, IMC is the integration of communication disciplines. So what does IMC do? It presents a consistent and professional image across all platforms. Put simply, it's a one voice. So as people look at you on your website, on your LinkedIn page, if you have TikTok or Snapchat, if you have a blog, if you have a monthly newsletter that you send out, even if it's just your annual holiday card that you email out to your clients, does that all center around your one voice? Are people going to know not only what you look like, but what you sound like, right? Everybody has a different way of how they speak. You're hearing the difference in how Rebecca and I speak during today's webinar. And this becomes a key point of that, is that your company has your own brand voice. It's not just what you look like, it's what you sound like as well. But then outside of that, it's what your clients or your customers or your industry hears when they see you or they hear you. And so for a government contract, from the government contracting perspective, this consistency can build trust with government clients and potential teaming partners. So positioning your business as an expert and reliable partner by having everything harmonious, having your one voice, ensuring that your contact information on LinkedIn matches your website contact information, which matches your sam.gov contact information. And for our small businesses in the room, that it matches your SBA's small business search profile. How does all of that look? Have you sat down to take a look at that, right? So that's part of that one voice. And then ultimately what it does, and what's really great about it, is it attracts the right partners and talent, right? And so outside of looking for teaming partners, whether you're a sub looking for a prime or a prime looking for a sub or multiple subs. You also need people on your team. How do you hire talent? How do you showcase? Like Trident, we're a globally dispersed company. Like I said, I came on in South Korea. Rebecca's in Hawaii. I think you were in DC at the time. And so how do you showcase your company as a place people want to work? This is all part of that communications discipline that is known as integrated marketing communication. So did you want to add anything, Rebecca, before we move on to the next portion?
No, that was great.
Okay. Okay, so next slide, please. So this is actually something that we talk a lot about. I know we've referenced websites a number of times. But there was a study that was done that found that 75% of consumers admit that they judge a business's credibility based on their website design. So what does this look like? I'm going to drop a poll in here. When you go to a website, what are the things that are most important to you? And I will just out myself right away. The thing that's most important to me, or that causes me to click off a website, is how fast it loads. So it's an interesting term, but if you say like a website is heavy, what's your load speed on your website? Is it mobile friendly? And so we offer a couple of different options up here of how fast it loads. How easy is it to find the information you need? Are you looking for Easter eggs like you're at a Taylor Swift concert? Or are you able to find what you need to find out whether they're a good partner or whether they offer the services that they need or that you need? And then another option is that you can determine what they offer within a few seconds. Some people are really put off by color. And so doing a website user analysis or user experience analysis to determine these elements, like what drives people off of your page. And if you don't have the metrics in place or you don't have the analysis that's complete, you won't actually know what is driving them away. We talked a little bit about user experience, and a common term is called a heat map. And so taking your website to say, okay, what are people looking at on our website? What are they clicking? What I thought was interesting when we did it at Trident initially is we realized people were clicking on not call to action buttons, CTAs.
Yes,
and
things
so
they thought should have been buttons
were like,
that weren't there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like they were, people click on a picture and then it was like, okay, or they were clicking on like bolded words to go somewhere, but they were actually missing the call to action button. And so are you losing an audience that way because your website is designed for how you think it is, but not how your users interact with you? So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Thank you so much for everybody who participated. Yeah, load speed, how easy it is to find, you can determine within a few seconds. This is all great. So next slide, please, Rebecca. So when you consider that you really only have a handful of seconds to draw someone into your website, you need to make sure that it's impactful. And so as odd as it sounds, it segues a little bit into government AI adoption. And so the first one that you see here on the top is USAI. This is GSA's new AI ecosystem. And so for those who are following the news, you've seen probably GSA offers ChatGPT for $1 to federal agencies for the next year. And so this AI ecosystem includes Anthropic's Sonnet 4, OpenAI's ChatGPT, Meta's AI feature, which is Llama, Gemini, which comes from Google, and then just last week, xAI's Grok AI was just added to this ecosystem as well. And so we bring this up because now that this is a lot easier for the government to access, right? So contracting officers, contracting specialists, this gives the ability for them to be able to conduct market research, to conduct government evaluations on the proposals that you're submitting, and even more. We're seeing discussions on using AI platforms to analyze the rule of two. And so how does this affect government contractors as a whole is that you need this cohesive messaging system, but you also need to be out there. So I know, Rebecca, you probably have to remind me, there was one RFP where one of the requirements was a public-facing website. Do you happen to recall which one that was?
Yeah, so on actually on a lot of GSA vehicles, you're required to advertise that you're a contract holder. They ask you to do that as part of your marketing, and you have to have a website, and sometimes they even require that it be 508 compliant. So that, again, for those market research purposes, so that if the government needs to reach out without reaching out, they can find what they need to.
Yeah. So this goes back to having your website, whether it's a referral source for information to bring in potential partners, but also with this increase and rapid adoption of artificial intelligence, not only within the government contracting industry, but as in the world as a whole, right? We're going to see trends where they're going to have access to ChatGPT, to Grok, to Sonnet, to Llama, to Gemini, to whatever AI platform to be able to conduct this. But they're also making proprietary ones as well. So this brings us to the middle portion where GSA is CODI, the Contractor Responsibility Report and Offer Checklist. This has been around for a little over a year, but a couple of months ago it started making it started making headlines because they were offering CODI to other federal agencies. So more than just GSA. And why is this important? Because CODI can use information pulled from SAM.gov, from the SBA Small Business Search, from USA Spending, from the Federal Procurement Database System. And so it goes into these systems where you're required to list your information there as a government contractor, and it's verifying what you said. So if your SAM.gov profile doesn't match your Small Business Search profile, is it going to notice those inconsistencies? It's going to catch them a lot easier. If your past performance that you submitted in a recent doesn't match what's on USA Spending or FPDS.gov, one, that's a separate issue. Talk to Trident. We can help you with this. But two, CODI can find this information a lot faster, rapidly faster than someone logging into all of these sites. And so this is continuing to just open these doors of rapid evaluation and rapid market research that the government can use. But on the flip side, you as a government contractor can also utilize these tools and resources, Sonnet, ChatGPT, Llama, Gemini, Grok, Jasper, Perplexity. There's a whole bunch of them that you can choose from to conduct your own market research. And I would encourage people, take a look, see what it brings up for your company. But then, and I'm only going to touch on this briefly, is we're also starting to see that government RFPs are using language in the Section L requirements about using AI for evaluations. So this is a screenshot from the U.S. Special Operations Command Global Service Delivery draft RFP. It's still a draft RFP, but they had a language in here on the use of artificial intelligence in proposal evaluations. Now, it does say that ultimately it's human factors that decide this, but they are using it to scan. And again, like I said, we're seeing the increase of using it for market research, for finding the information that you need. And so it's something to keep in mind with your websites, with your overall brand, with your overall internal and external communication of how do you look for AI or for large language models.
Yep, and that point about market research is really important, Morgan, because I think if you're thinking about that in a traditional way in the government contracting landscape, market research is a lot of times an RFI, right? Or a sources sought notice that the government sends out and asks for your participation in. With AI, it doesn't have to be a conversation anymore. They can go out and see what's been published, and they can look at your records and say, well, I did the research, and I know that there are small businesses with this capability out there. So you want to be part of those search results when they do things like that.
Absolutely.
We have one more poll here.
I like it. All right. So when was the last time you had your last website or brand refresh? When was the last time you took a look at everything and said, okay, I'll give Trident as an example. When I came on board, we used hexagons, right? And I think it's been actually we kind of look at it annually, but about a year ago, we said, okay, we're going to eliminate hexagons. We're going to use a different shape now. And so really, when was the last time that you looked at your branding and you looked at your website? More than a year. Okay. Now is within the last 3 months. I love it. Awesome. So it's a great practice, especially, like I said, as we're seeing this increase in the use of AI across the platform, of taking a look at your website, taking a look cohesively at how everything looks, to see whether or not you do need a brand refresh. If you have undergone a brand refresh, whether it's for your website, your logo, kind of how you communicate. It's something that I would encourage at a minimum to be done annually. This is because things get stagnant. And oddly enough, one of the things that people find Trident for is they look at our footer on our website to see when we last updated it. Right. And so we did a website analysis recently, and one of their website pages was last updated in 2020. That was a long time ago in the digital realm. And so taking a look at this at least annually, like I said, at a minimum annually, but more frequently, especially as needs arise. If you get a new contract with GSA, or if you have Oasis Plus, or if you're on Polaris, updating your website to be able to reflect your contract vehicle and the information that's there. If you add new NICS codes, does your corporate capability document live on your website as text, but also as a PDF? These are all great opportunities to say, hey, we got this award, or we won this contract, or we did this. Take a look at all of that.
So, and one of the things that you're also calling out here, Morgan, that I think is really important is that brand is not synonymous with just a logo. It really is all of the presence, right? And how people feel about the website when they visit it. And if you're an IT company and you have a website that's not very good, what impression is that leaving people with? Like, that's all part of your brand. So just inspiring confidence from the get-go, really, really important. So we're not talking about like, oh, you just need new colors, right? I mean, it could be something like that. But the brand is really much more comprehensive. So I just want to make sure we emphasize that. Yeah. Okay, well, I think it's back over to me to talk about what I promised with the 3 secrets of integrated marketing communications. And some of these you probably already know, because this is a smart group. You've been in and around government contracting, but just so that we make sure we are all on the same page here. The first secret is that your first impression is likely going to be digital with potential clients and potential partners. So again, probably already know this, but there's a high likelihood that someone's going to check you out online. They're going to search you up, as my 7-year-old says, before they even reach out, right? So if we get referrals from people, the first thing we do is we go look up the company. We check out the website. Who do we know? What's going on there? If any of you looked at Trident before you signed up for this webinar, or before you attended today, you're doing the same thing. And I'm reminded of this every time I get a notice from LinkedIn that, oh, somebody has viewed your profile. Like, it's out there, right? It's out there, and people are clicking on it, whether you know it or not. So really just important to understand that, especially with so many companies being virtual and not being co-located with their clients, your first interaction might not be a handshake where you're in the same room. So understanding that your brand is going to come through in a digital format first is really important. Your website is your handshake now. So, is it inspiring confidence? Is it inspiring connection? You now have to earn the opportunity to even have a conversation. The second secret is that visibility matters. And this is a really simple but powerful idea. So just for some background information, in 2024, because this is the last time they updated their report, there were 670,000 registered entities in SAM.gov. And what that means is that if the government comes searching for a small business with a specific capability, if they can't find you online, they're still probably going to find someone. So you want to be in those results. Like we said before, you want to be in those results when they ask the question. You should be treating your online profiles and your overall brand as a competitive advantage to help get you noticed. So no matter what services or products you offer, there are likely lots of similar companies. And that's by design in government contracting, right? They want the competition. They want a lot of companies who can deliver something so that they have their pick of the best. So how are you going to stand out? How are you going to get that visibility? The third secret is that you really don't need to spend a lot of money to put things in place that are going to get you traction and deliver big results. So you don't have to have a huge budget. You don't have to throw out your website. You don't have to hire a big marketing team. And you definitely don't need to spend $700 million like Cracker Barrel just did to do a whole brand overhaul just to revert back to their original logo. That is just insane to me. But you can build trust and credibility with a clear, consistent brand, like Morgan talked about as being that primary objective of integrated marketing communications. So targeted consistency, deliberate positioning. This isn't a 3-year planning horizon. This is things like understanding LinkedIn algorithms that reward activity and knowing that consistency builds trust and having that appreciation for the little actions like tracking who's visiting your website and where they're trying to click for buttons that aren't buttons. That can give you big insights into what you need to do and change to be more effective. 3 secrets. It's easy, right? Just, keep those 3 things in mind and you'll be good to go. So because we are a helpful group of individuals, I want to talk to you a little bit about how we set up our integrated marketing services, because we are a small business, we work with a lot of small businesses, and we know what it's like to be in the field. When we talk to our clients, who, again, are primarily small businesses, we hear kind of the top 5 challenges again and again from them. These are the things that are slowing them down. And it's stuff like time and resource constraints. It's the identity clutter. And I'll talk about each one of these in a moment. But what I really want you to understand is that these aren't things that you're necessarily doing wrong. These are just challenges in the environment that small businesses in particular have to contend with. So if we're talking about time and resource constraints, this is true of a lot of businesses where the billable work is taking priority over the brand management. You need to do it, right? It's kind of one of those things like taking your medicine or taking your vitamins. You need to do it. But if someone's not there making you do it, or creating the time and the space for you to do it, it might not get done. Identity clutter, we were talking about this with that whole visibility idea. When a potential client looks for you, maybe they don't find the real you. Maybe they find a company that's named kind of like you. Or maybe they do find you, but they can't figure out from your website what you do. And so they can't remember, like, why did Ronald connect me to this individual at this company? Like, what I thought they were IT, and this is all about, licenses. That's not the same thing. So just being able to understand, how do you show up to people and how can they find the real you is really important. Digital dilemma. This is something that, I'm so glad we have Morgan for, because I'm somebody who hates change. Like, don't change the aisles in my grocery store. Don't do a refresh of Outlook and make me use the new Outlook. There's tools out there that can help, that are very, very good, that are designed to do really specific things, but I can't keep up with everything. I don't know if I'm supposed to be tweeting or posting or tagging or liking or uploading or streaming or linking or whatever. So just understanding in 2025 the tools that are available, and how your audience may be using them is really important, and it's tough to keep up with. Limited curb appeal. This is something that nobody does on purpose, but maybe your website isn't drawing people in because it is dated and you haven't had the time or the resources to do an update recently, or maybe the platform has migrated over time, or maybe the person who used to do this as a army of one left, or maybe there were plans in place but it just didn't materialize. So what you absolutely can't have is your website working against you. You want to make sure that if it's your LinkedIn, your company LinkedIn page, or your company website, or your SAM.gov profile, that the information there is accurate and it's active and it reflects who you are and it's a good news story. And then the other thing that our clients tell us they really struggle with is, because they're so focused on the billable work and on the mission and on their capabilities, there's this idea of hidden happiness where they've built these great companies. They have wonderful people working for them who are super talented. They're off doing things in the community, but they don't get credit for it. We've had clients who make community service a core value. We have clients who do offsites quarterly, and they need to talk about those things, because when somebody looks at your company, you want them to think, that's where I want to work, right? That's who I want to do business with. That's who I want to hire. That's where I want to work. So understanding that all of those things play a part is very important as you start to strategize about, what do I need to change? What's the order that I'm going to do it in? What's highest priority? So that brings us to how we specifically approach integrated marketing and how we deliver our support. And I mentioned we have a lot of military veterans. We love our checklists. We love our 3 easy steps. We love our phased approach to things. And integrated marketing is no different. So in our phase 1, what we prioritize here is just observing. We do an audit of everything that exists. We assess what's working and what could be done even better. And we come up with a plan. And that's phase 2. We write everything down. We note the discrepancies. We figure out, okay, what's highest priority here? What's the triage look like? And we work with our clients to develop either a 3, a 6, or a 12-month digital marketing plan that is synergized with their overall business development objectives. If they're trying to get new clients, the things that we might do as part of that digital marketing plan might look different than if they're trying to scale their company and hire 20 new folks. So we want to make sure that everything that we do is supporting the underlying framework and the direction that they want to go in. And so that's why that phase 2 is really important, because we are going to have this plan and we're going to be working together for a little while. So making sure that everybody's on the same page about what that end objective is really important. And then phase 3 is kind of the exciting stuff where we actually start to see results because we're optimizing, we're implementing and synchronizing that plan. We're doing the monthly tracking and building reports for data that matters. So you're not just getting a data dump of information, like you're going to understand what an impression is, what a click-through is, what these things are that are driving business or not generating leads for your company. And then as part of this with the optimization, if it's needed for your company, we're going to help you by building curated products and marketing materials. So this might be as simple as standardizing everybody's email signature so that when the government gets an email from you as a company, everybody's signature block looks the same and they can associate Anna with Annalise, with Annabelle, and they know everybody's coming from that same company. So that's the overview of what our big picture looks like. And something that's really important to understand here too is that this is not something we'll work with you as long as you'll have us. We love to do that, but our integrated marketing support is really designed to come in, reset the baseline, get you on a good trajectory, and then turn it back over to you so that you're not locked into something with Trident for the next 5 years. We're going to show you the things that you need to do. We're going to build the habits, and then we're going to let you run with it. And we're always a phone call away. But this isn't something where, like I said, you feel like you're going to have to get locked into a relationship and be with us forever and ever. We'll take it for as long as we can. But this is designed to teach you to kind of fish on your own, right? If we go back to that metaphor. So. Did I miss anything, Morgan? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, I was going to say one of the things that I love about this with our IMC clients is that working with them and just kind of seeing their reaction to the changes that are implemented, of being able to track things, of having marketing material when that may not have existed before, or being able to just develop a battle rhythm of updating information, whether it's on their website, their LinkedIn, or whatever it might be, but then also the joy of training their team on taking it over. And so it's kind of like a gift that we get to give back, because then you have the framework that's built. It's like helping you put the foundation together for the house, and your team is putting up the walls, but we're also there helping you put up the walls, but then your team is the one that gets to in the house together. And so I love that we're always available. We can always, hey, I need help with this, or we're going to launch something new, or we're celebrating an anniversary, or we're launching a new product or something like that. And so we can surge back into help, much like we do on the proposal development side or business development side. But it's working with the team to be able to take the next steps forward, to be empowered with a great foundation of information to grow and to continue to expand as they move forward.
It was a much better explanation than mine. So that's, yeah.
No, but you did a great job. So why does this work? Is the consistent and accurate profiles shows who you are and where you are, with all the information that's together, all the information that you need that's out there. And Rebecca and I have both talked about that at length during today's webinar. But it builds a positive brand reputation. Like Rebecca mentioned, branding is more than just your logo, right? It's the feeling that someone gets when they see your logo, when they interact with your brand. If you're someone who delivers a product, it's how they feel when they see that logo on their Batesville boots or on their Softy shorts, like whatever it might be. Having that cohesiveness through strategic messaging across all of your channels kind of continues to build that positive brand reputation. And again, shows that you're a fun place to work, depending on how you do that. Expert positioning. So this is something, and I've been talking to our team about this more and more, is not just helping your executives and key employees stand out in their field, but also how things are changing. So Rebecca talked a little bit about how the digital dilemma of LinkedIn and Substack and X and Snapchat and TikTok and, what are you going to do? But one of the things that we're seeing is there's a well-known LinkedIn algorithm expert, Richard Vanderblom, and every year he releases this report on the LinkedIn algorithms. He gets a lot of great information, and I'll drop the link into the chat. But his report about 6 months ago came out and said that company pages average just 1 to 2%, 1 to 2% of organic reach on LinkedIn. So what does this mean? This means that your team, that your executives, that your leadership, that they need to be posting. And if you are someone who manages your company page, use it as an opportunity to reshare their post. Your reach and impressions are going to be higher if your CEO or your business development director or your chief of staff, as in Rebecca's case, who's also a capture proposal expert and our GWAG expert, it's going to have more legs. It's going to have farther reach if it's coming from an individual versus a company. And this has changed, and we're seeing that, especially in the age of zero-click marketing. And so that means content is staying on the page and they're downgrading content that has to leave a page. It's why if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook or any of the social media platforms where they say link in comments, they're trying to get around that because it was downgrading the priority of information popping up into someone's feed because you're coming off of the platform. And so this feeds into that analytics that inform, like having those metrics. How is your LinkedIn page doing? Are you noticing a trend of your page posts are higher than your CEO's post? And some of that is your CEO might have 54 people on their LinkedIn page. And so your LinkedIn page posts are going to have a higher reach than if someone from your company does. So analyzing that information, but then also tracking the metrics for your websites, for the platforms that you have, for campaigns, for any initiatives that you have. And then one of the things that we have at Trident and that we work with our clients on too is this custom digital marketing plans. And so oftentimes digital marketing plans are included in a digital marketing strategy, which a digital marketing strategy is this very in-depth report of analyzing your company, who your competitors are, what are your strengths and weaknesses, your SWOT analysis. And so it's super detailed, but the digital marketing plan comes out and says, okay, this is our roadmap. As we go into 2026, it's October 3rd here in Guam. Future looks great. It's sunny outside. Well, actually, it's overcast. But it's Friday here, and so looking ahead, you're getting ready to come into that. You're in that last quarter already of the government fiscal year, but you're in the last 3 months of 2025. So it's an opportunity to say, okay, we're going to look to 2026. What does this roadmap look like? What is our plan? Are we doing a website refresh? Are we planning to launch a new logo? Are we attending an event? AUSA that is taking place next week or the week after. I think it's the 10th. So AUSA is taking place. Navy Gold Coast. You have AFCEA West. We have the Charleston Defense Summit. The Navy Contracting Summits. There's loads of things that are going on. So are you attending those throughout the year? And what does that look like? Are you going to use social media to promote that? Are you going to put it on your website? Do you host webinars? Do you release blogs? And so one of the things that's great about it is this roadmap is a living document. And so what that means is that it's not static. So if you make it in November or December or even January as you work on your business development goals or company goals for the year, is that roadmap changes. So if you go into Q1 and you say, okay, we're hitting all of our metrics, but then things start shifting, whether positive or negative. And so we say, okay, we need to ramp up and do more by Q3 because we're seeing this massive influx, or we know the government's going to be releasing the results of NASA SOUP. And so we're going to see this increase of workload and we want to be able to promote this. And so you go in and you update this roadmap to indicate, hey, we have these changes going on. And that's on the Trident side. If we help you with that, we meet with you with part of this plan to adjust your goals and desires per quarter, per month, whatever it might be. And it takes a lot of the guesswork out. Are you going to launch a campaign? Can we mark these off of your list? Is it something that's a not right now moment? And so then we say, okay, we're going to make this for 2027 instead. So taking a look at these customized plans, because every company is different and every goal is different. So I will pass it back over to Rebecca if she wants to add anything else to this or talk to you about what we're doing today.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. And so I think we can just roll into the special offer for today's attendees. And yes, if you are watching this webinar because you did not want to stay online into the evening hours, this does extend to you as well. So if you have, sat through this wonderful hour with myself and Morgan, this is a special offer that we have for you, and we call it our how do I look package. And this is something that's a little bit separate from our full IMC support, because we wanted to give you a really low risk way to get to know us. So it's how do you look, but how it's kind of a nice to meet you from our side. So with the government shutdown, just addressing the elephant in the room, we know this is a really challenging time where you're probably reevaluating every dollar that you plan to spend or are spending. And we totally get it. And so that's why we have a $500 package that's fully refundable if you're not satisfied with what we deliver. And so what we're offering today is we'll do a detailed intake with you. We sit down, we kind of do that, get to know you. We look at everywhere you exist in your company website, your government databases. We kind of get a sense of what your online footprint is. And then you get a choice of, do you want a GovCon audit? Do you want a website user interface audit? Do you want a social media audit, or do you want a brand audit? You can pick any one of those four things, and we will deliver your report. And I feel like I can say this because I have personal experience with this. This isn't like where you go to the makeup counter and they try to make you feel ugly to get you to buy more things. This is really just so that we can honestly assess what needs to improve. And if there's things that don't need to improve, like that's why we start with the plan and the inventory, is so that we're not just making change for change's sake. We don't want to implement things that aren't going to drive results. So we're very sensitive to the current environment, and just want to offer this as a quick look, get to know us, we get to know you, low risk way of working together. If you're interested in signing up for this, shoot us an email at webinars@tridentproposals.com, and we'll show this this email again before the end of the presentation. But that's how you get in touch with us, and we will connect to get an intake call scheduled, and we'll go from there. The other thing that we're real excited to send out is Morgan's got a fantastic kind of LinkedIn housekeeping cheat sheet that she's developed. I told her 6 tips and she ended up putting like 18 on there. So you're getting a lot of really good recommendations in terms of specific actions you can take on your LinkedIn profile, just to kind of keep things fresh and current with the times, especially if you find yourself with downtime. So something that we're seeing a lot, there's a really great article published today or yesterday in Washington Technology, was about the importance of not going dark during this government shutdown. I mean, this is a time when making connections to clients and to teammates matters, not from an opportunistic, predatory standpoint, but just a call and a check-in. Hey, how are you doing? We're still here. What do you need? And being part of the solution, because everybody who's in and around government contracting is stressed out right now, right? The future is very uncertain. There are real world impacts when things shut down. And so the human touch point of just checking in and saying, how's it going today? What's stressing you out? Where can I be of assistance? It can go a long way towards making somebody remember you, right? Getting back to that idea of the brand is how you make them feel. That's really important to kind of keep in mind right now. So again, if you're interested, shoot us an email. We'll get everything set up. And if you're still kind of on the fence, I love this picture of Alexis. She's one of our fantastic proposal managers and orals coaches. And she got this picture taken at an industry day. And you can tell it was not on not on Trident property, because we would have made her wear a hard hat. But she's out there making things happen. So if you're still on the fence, some questions you can ask yourself, right? Does my online presence consistently reflect my company's capabilities and the value we bring? If a contracting officer checks me out, are they going to know what I do? Can they find me easily? Are you tracking your website traffic? Do you know what people are using your website for? Are you engaging with your users? What about your social media? Is your messaging tailored to your government clients? Are you thinking about industry partners and potential teammates? Or do you have just a very narrow defined band? Or have you even really defined your audience? Have you ever done that strategic analysis of what is my customer demographic? Thinking through, are you attracting the right partners? I mean, there's a pretty good indicator if you have people applying for your company that you don't really want working there, that maybe you're not putting out the right vibe. maybe there's some homework to be done there. And are things synchronized? Is there a plan for LinkedIn? Is there a plan for Twitter? Is there a plan for my company website? And whatever other platforms you may be using, who's in charge of those? How often are you refreshing them? Is it, as the best practice, we recommend when you go to do your SAM update and renew your certs and reactivate your profile every year, that's a great time to take a look at everything. And then are you thinking through the AI-driven market research, and are you ready for that? If not, if you say no to any of those things, give us a call, send us that email. Let's work together in a really low risk way so that we can get you in a better position. So, okay, I think that brings us to the answer. If there are any questions, we have 1 minute left. So we're happy to answer those, but otherwise you've made it, you sat through the whole thing. We would love to work with you on flexible, right-sized plans with a phased approach and data-driven adjustments. And if you want to reach out to us, once again, it's just webinars@tridentproposals.com. I think that's all I have, Morgan. Anything else to close out? Because you're really the person who makes the magic happen. So.
Yeah, it would be awesome to be able to work with so many other companies as they kind of evaluate this, and especially as we look to 2026. I'm getting ahead of myself already. It would be an awesome opportunity to be able to support other government contractors and our colleagues and friends on this effort. So thank you to everybody who attended today. This was awesome. And I hope there's some great information that you're able to walk away from to implement based on our discussion, or again, like Rebecca said, to contact us via email to have a follow-on conversation.
Thanks very much.